welcome to the Leniverse. I am Leni and I'm very excited about the longlist for the Women's Prize for Fiction. Apologies for the backdrop here with the glare from the window and everything, but I need my spreadsheet and my notes, and my setup here is a bit... I have a tiny desk and a tiny tripod balanced on top of books, and I'm kind of worried that I'll knock everything down, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so the Women's Prize. I'm not going to go through like the whole list of books and read them out and read blurbs and stuff. You already know what books are on the long list, but I'm going to talk a bit numbers and my first impressions of the list and my plan for reading it. So I managed to get 3 guesses right, 3 predictions. I'm quite happy about that. One of them was my last minute addition because I realized that I had to have a book. There's also 3 Irish books, just like I said, but I only got one of the books right. The other 2 books were on my sort of extended list of possibilities, but I had 2 other books that I would rather have on the list, but here we are. I also predicted 8 debut books, which also turned out to be right. It's a different set of debut books. The only debut that I got right was, once again, the book. But still, lots of new books. And on the other 16 books, there are 7 that are completely unknown to me. Not all of them debuts. And that's really exciting. And let's see. Some surprises. Very few big names. I mean, there's Anne Wright. She's been nominated twice before, and she's, definitely a big name, but she seems to fly under the radar a bit. She's not quite as obvious a big name as some of the ones that were expected to be on the list. Also surprised not to see Julia on the list. Everybody's surprised about that. And also no Nigerians, but there is a book from Ghana instead by an author born in Liberia. So I was going back and forth a bit there between that one and my Nigerian book, and clearly I picked the wrong one. And there's also 2 authors from the Caribbean, or one from the Caribbean and one British-born author to Caribbean parents. I think this is probably the most diverse list we've ever had when it comes to nationalities and the backgrounds of the authors. I think there might only be 6 white authors on the list, and half of them are Irish. Which is kind of funny, because when I put my list together, I kept thinking, oh no, there's always more American authors, more British authors. I have a 2 international list here. And then, the Women's Prize comes and then just hit us with this, and it's great. There's, a lot of the authors seem to be of a sort of a mixed background as well. So there's an American author with an Ethiopian father, writing about somebody who returns to sub-Saharan Africa after having been in the US for 26 years. There's a British-born author with their parents from Grenada, writing about a couple coming to the UK from Grenada and having children there. There is the Ghanaian author. The Booker, of course, is British author with a background from India. There's a Chinese-American author who grew up in China and France. There's a British-born Palestinian author. There's a Canadian author who is who is also Tuscarora, so Mohawk, indigenous author. Did I mention the American author who is Tamil? Yeah, there's just so much on this list. I think it's great. I get really annoyed when I hear people say like, "Oh, men don't want to read books written by women. Boys don't want to read books with girl protagonists. White people don't want to read books written by black authors." I just want to hit them over the head with a big book, because I mean, why would I want to only read books about people who are like me? There's just nothing better than having a book set in a part of the world where I've never been, and the characters where I have very little frame of reference. I have seemingly nothing in common with them, completely different, just background and experiences, and then the author manages to put me in their lives, in their head, and I just experience some point of identification, or even if there's no identification, I feel like I understand their lives. That's beautiful. I love it. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes I can't make that connection, but when it does happen, it's the best thing. So I'm very excited about this list. Also, genres. Yes, I did predict that there would be historical fiction and maybe some magical realism, and there is. But then I was wrong about something. I said that the Women's Prize won't really do speculative fiction. And here they have hit us with a near-future science fiction, climate fiction story with a bit of magical realism, possibly. It's awesome. That book does have a tiny snag. It's The Blue Beautiful World by Karen Lord. And I believe that that's actually book 3 in a series. As far as I understand, you don't have to read the 2 first books because it's like different characters and different plot. It's just the same setting, world setting. But that a lot of the world building is done in those first 2 books. So if you go straight into the 3rd book, you might feel a bit lost. I don't mind feeling lost, but I also like reading books in order. And the library has the 2 first books, so I've put a hold on them. The first book is with somebody else right now, so I'll probably get the 2nd book first, so we'll see what I do about that. Does add to the number of books I need to read, though. So, themes. Yes. There seems to be a lot of identity, race, migration, family, bit of coming of age, some war. All the good stuff that we expect from the Women's Prize, really. Oh yeah, there's one book about queer identity. I'm glad to have that on there as well. What else? What am I most excited for? I am excited to have The Ren on there, that I am currently reading. I am very excited to read Anti-Ghost. I am looking forward to... I'm very curious about the sci-fi climate fiction book, because it's like aliens and humanity. People needing to prepare humanity for first contact, and there's a pop star with a special gift of connecting with his audience, which, kind of sounds... It reminds me a bit of Space Opera by Catherine Valente. That book is wild. It's basically Eurovision in space, where the moment a planetary population reaches the technological levels for space travel, the rest of the galaxy comes in to make sure that they are not going to go on like a conquest and starting wars in the galaxy. Because after millennia of wiping each other out, they have found that it's better to settle their differences in a civilized manner by having a song contest. So Earth is then invited, and you can't turn down the invitation, to join the Galactic Society, but they have to enter the song contest, and if they get nil points, Earth will be wiped out. So high stakes. And Earth, of course, sends some has-been rocker, and it's wild. So yeah, the Beautiful World reminds me a little bit of that, and I hope it's as wacky. I don't know. Maybe I'll be disappointed and just read it and go, Catherine Valente did it better. We'll see. And then there's, yes, the Canadian one, And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott. It's listed as genre-bending, psychological horror thriller, maybe also with some magical realism, and that's all I need to know. I don't want to know. Let me try that again. I don't want to know more. I love genre-bending books because they're so full of surprises. You know, you read a lot, you get a certain feel for types of writing, and maybe especially in genre fiction, there are certain tropes or ways of doing things, and you can realize, okay, I see this story is going to go in this direction, and you expect a twist to come in at a certain point. But when you blend together genres, you don't know what that twist is going to be. The tropes get subverted, you know, everything is unexpected. Great. I love those surprises. What else? Yeah, then there is River East, River West. That one interests me. Books where cultures meet, I always like those. And then there is 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster, South Korean author living in China, I think. Maybe. South Korean author, anyway. And that book sounds a bit to me like The 100-Year-Old Who Climbed Out a Window and Disappeared, except that instead of it being an old Swedish man talking about where we get to see his crazy experiences throughout all of European history for the past 100 years. Instead, there's an old Korean woman, and World War II in Singapore, and the Korean War, and all of that. So yeah, sounds fun. I hope it's fun. I'm also looking forward to Hangman by Maya Binyam, because books where somebody has left their homeland and then they return after many years, just to find that they don't recognize their country anymore, that their country has changed and they have changed. I like those stories. And it's also described as a tragicomedy, and I believe the word trickster was used. So that's catnip for me. Love it. The other books on the list I am less sure about. This Brotherless Night, which is set during the Sri Lankan War, I think. I'm intrigued by that because I really loved The 8 Moons of Mali Almeida. So similar kind of setting, but different genre and style, I think. The other ones, we'll find out. No, I checked, and there is total page number 4,668. in those cases where there is more than one edition of a book, page numbers might vary, but these are the numbers I have to work with here, which puts the average length to around 292 pages. Shortest book, Western Lane, is 176 pages. And the longest of the editions that I have access to is Brotherless Night, that comes in at 432. But I believe there are editions where it's 370 something, or yeah, I don't know. But that means that if I want to read them all by the 24th of April, which is when the shortlist comes out, that's 50 days, starting today. That's like 93 and a third page per day. I can do that. Yeah. I have already read Western Lane. That's of course the shortest book, so that doesn't help me much, because I can't finish the long list on the day that they announce the shortlist. I need to be a bit earlier so I can put in my prediction for the shortlist. So I should probably read at least 100 pages per day, a bit more. And then add to that one of them is book 3 in a series, and that I have other books and challenges and reading projects to do. Okay, this might get tricky. I'm sure I can do this, but I'm going to give it a good try. Okay. If, on the other hand, you, not being me, don't feel like you have to read the whole long list, certainly not by the time that the shortlist comes out. If you want to read it by the time the winner is announced, that's the 13th of June, so that's 114 days, and you only need to read 41 pages per day. That's doable. Of course, not all pages are equal. Some pages read really quickly, depending on how they are written, content, font, formatting, everything. So let's see. But it's certainly a challenge, and I think I'm gonna have to allow myself to DNF books that are just not working out for me, or instead of trying to force myself through them, just to say I didn't like this, I hope it's not on the shortlist. Sometimes a book can not work for me at that given time, and I like it if I return to it. So of course with this time limit and with a lot of the books probably being from the library and I will need to return them and so on, that might get a bit tricky. So we'll see. So my plan is I'm currently reading The Ran, so that's the first one. After that, I think I will go to Soldier Sailor, because I had that one. It was like 350-ish on Kindle, so I picked that up yesterday. It's probably the book I'm the least keen on, which is also why I didn't put it on my prediction, because I didn't want it to be on the long list. And that's because, as far as I understand, it's a book about a woman who has just had a baby and she's suffering from postnatal depression, and it's a stream of consciousness. So we're stuck in her head while she is in her postnatal depression. And I don't really want to go there, because I've lived it. I've had postnatal depression. I have been so sleep deprived that if it wasn't caused by a baby, it would be against the Geneva Convention. And I just think this, I don't need to relive that in somebody else's head. So this one, if it turns out to be too much, I'll just DNF it. But it might be good, and it might not affect me in that way, and it might, I don't know, it might feel validating, whatever. We'll see. I'll give it a try. And then after that, I will reward myself with Enter Ghost, which I am super chuffed about. Yeah, because I have that one too, and I can't believe I haven't found the time to read it yet. I'm really looking forward to that. And by then, I don't know, that should take me, if I stick to my reading of 100 pages per day or so, I guess a week. And by then I should have a couple of other books in from the library, so then I'll just have to read them as they come in. Some of them I need to probably buy. This would probably be a bit more doable if I had some of them on audio. I checked with the library and there's only one book that they have the audio book of, and that's the Nolan one. Let's see, what's it called? Ordinary Human Failings. Unfortunately, it seems to be very popular and it won't be available until June, so that's no good, although sometimes they do come in earlier. So I have put a hold on that, just in case. I've also put a hold on the ebook, which is available in May, and a physical copy where I am number 8 in line. So I'll probably have to buy that one too. We'll see. And the rest of them, they just don't have on audio. I don't really do a lot of audiobooks, but in a time crunch like this, it would definitely help if I could audiobook while doing other things, while walking around and while just cooking and doing stuff. But you see, I mean, as a child, I would walk home from school carrying a book in front of me like this, reading and just checking once in a while to make sure I didn't walk into traffic or a light pole or whatever. So now I can just do that on my mobile phone and I'll look just like everybody else instead of this weirdo walking around with a book. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, well, I will see you again in a few days or a week or so with an update on how the reading is going. So until then, thank you for watching and happy reading! Okay, it is now several hours later. All the natural light is gone. I hope you can see me. I had to rush out after shooting the video this morning and didn't have time to upload it. And now, meanwhile, the library has already coughed up 2 books. Ta-da! So there's Night Bloom that I am quite intrigued by. And then there is Restless Dolly Monde that I'm not quite sure about because I'm not really that into historical fiction. I mean, it's, oh, it has very pretty end papers though. See, well, it's not that long a book, 200 and something pages. Oh, there's a picture of Dolly. Is she a real person? Okay, I guess I'll find out. And I also realized all of a sudden that I'm reading this, but I discovered I have a matching bookmark. I love it when that happens. Huh. Okay, that's it. I now have 5 books to get on with. So I better spend the rest of the evening reading. Okay, really bye for now.